Humans of the cardboard, welcome back to Just Nuts, guys. Today we have more exciting news to the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! Big stuff. Animation Chronicle 2023. Big stuff. I like this a lot. You never know when they'll cut off a series like this, but I'm glad they're still going through with it here. There's just so many anime archetypes and cards that still deserve to be imported to the TCG that have not been yet, or I guess the OCG, and we'll eventually get these probably in a Battles of the Legend in the second half of the year, but still exciting nonetheless. So not a ton of crazy information here. I mean, it's just the announcement, but I'm going to go over a bunch of stuff that I think is like the big name stuff that I have my eyes on for sure. And, I don't know, June 10th is the date for the OCG, so I wouldn't expect a ton of reveals here to start until probably at least another month. I probably wouldn't expect to start seeing reveals, but this is a pretty decent set. This is, I think it's a 61 card set, and it says there's some reprints for some of the stuff here, but I would expect like at least 30 of these cards to be brand new, at least, you know, not new to Yu-Gi-Oh! As a whole, but new to the card game, the physical card game. So very exciting there. So we'll see 30 to 45 probably, I would say, new cards and then some reprints, but that's really exciting to me. So let's move on. The big stuff, the big name stuff. You guys know I've talked about this archetype multiple times. As far as straight up archetypes that are just missing from the physical card game that were in the anime, the biggest cluster of them are in Vrains, especially like prominent ones, like characters that mattered, that were relevant to the story overall. And there's one other thing I want to note. There's a ton of things that you could throw on here. I made a post earlier today for anyone who wanted to throw out like what they're most excited for, what they love from the anime, that they'll cross their fingers and hope comes to the game in this set. There's so many things, so I can't possibly cover them all here. We're just making note of the big name stuff. So, Armitos Leggio, very, very cool archetype. This is an archetype that I also just kind of feel like has a little bit of almost like Satellar Knight aspect to it. Like they're like gladiator warriors, and depending on the way Konami wants to design them, they're a link-based archetype that, depending on how you align their columns, like they gain additional bonus effects. So it's kind of like tactical warfare, placing things in the right columns and attacking that way to gain different buffs. That's really cool. Thematically, it's cool. They look dope. I think a lot of them are warriors. That's right up a ton of people's different alleys. So I like that. I think that'll just be really good as long as they make it like a somewhat do something archetype to be roguish. I think a lot of players will just be into that just because of, you know, looks and everything else that goes with it. So very cool. From there, we move to Drone. This is Blood Shepherd's, I believe, archetype here. It's very cool. He just battles with a bunch of like drone, you know, ships. So a cool new potential, like I'm guessing wind or dark machine archetype, which is pretty cool. So, I'm excited for this. Apparently, I didn't even realize this, but apparently in 2020, they got 11% of votes in a poll coming in 4th place to be made into an actual archetype. So that's honestly not that bad. I don't know how many archetypes are in contention, but I'm assuming some of those were ones that have, at this point, gotten archetypes fully made yet, like maybe Sun Avalon. But yeah, so this one could definitely be up. It's a cool one. I mean, it has a little bit less personality to it because it's just drone ships, and, you know, Sun Machine archetypes have less personality, so we'll see. But Blood Shepherd the Shepherd was a fairly prevalent character in the anime, so very cool. Moving on from there, Hydra Drive. I believe this is played by one of the antagonists of the show, so correct me on that. I never watched Vrains, so I'm just giving you my best. I know there's a ton of cards here, and if they printed this whole archetype, reading some of the link monsters in this archetype, I'm actually like, whoa, some of these cards are crazy, and they're like link 1s and link 2s, so there definitely could be something here for sure, especially if they print everything, but we'll obviously have to see. But this is definitely a another big one there, and I think the last like Vrains big one we don't have is Storm Riders. So there was like one for every attribute, pretty much. Like this one is the light one, this one doesn't apply, this one doesn't apply, but like Salamangreats was the fire one, Marine Cess was water, right? There was like a big archetype for like every attribute, it felt like, in Vrains. And G-Golems that came out last year, that was the earth one. Sun Avalon was like I guess they were kind of Earth too, but whatever. And then Stormrunner is supposed to be Wind, I guess. So very cool. Just has a bunch of like almost Raid Raptor-esque monsters. They look like Raid Raptors, although I think they're like maybe Wind Cyberse. I'm not sure if they're actually winged beasts or not. That will definitely depend on what they synergize with in the game. But they had a lot of cards. They had a lot of interesting stuff. Again, a Link-based archetype. Link is probably overall just the best summoning mechanic in Yu-Gi-Oh! Just from a mechanic standpoint. But yeah, still cool. We'll see. This one I think any of these four. I think we're almost guaranteed to get one of these four because last year, Sun Avalon, or G-Golem. The year before that, was that when Sun Avalon came out for them? Or did they get in another weird set? I can't remember, but it feels like we should be getting at least one of these every single year, if not more than one, because, like, Vrains has been over. You know what I mean? Vrains has been over for a minute now, and, like, are they really going to do only one of these a year, and then 4 years from now we just have, like, Hydra Drives come out? We're like, this is one of the main antagonists archetypes. What the heck? Like, this is way too big of an archetype for the show for them to like just wait like 6 years to release it post the show ending. So I don't know. I think there's a great chance one or two of these make it, but just throwing that out there. From there, I wanted to mention this, not specifically Elemental Hero Clay Guardian. It's this like weird version of Clayman Fusion. It's just like a big defensive card. It's not even good. But the whole point I wanted to make here is when I posted the post I did, and I didn't even realize this, apparently a ton of like very main characters in the Yu-Gi-Oh! Anime just like are still missing cards. I would have thought at this point that a lot of them Konami would have pretty much printed all of their actual used anime cards, and then from there we've been building with legacy support. But apparently a lot of them still have cards that they used in the anime that Konami has never printed. So that's definitely a big thing, like just to help sell the set. Anybody who is a big collector or casual fan of like the anime, definitely go around and get reprints for some of those. Even just one-off monsters like Clay Guardian is cool. So yeah, we'll see. There, and then a couple of other ones that aren't Vrains and aren't that I thought were kind of bigger ones. The Armor archetype. This is played by Valen, I think is his name, from the Orichalcos season in Yu-Gi-Oh! The original Yu-Gi-Oh! Series. This was a really cool one. It's like an archetype with a bunch of like armor pieces, and they kind of all combine together to make stuff. And that was really exciting because this could be a really cool equip-based archetype. And as long as they just kind of power crept it for like modern day, they could really have some cool stuff going on. Maybe they have contact fusion as like a thing going on, because fusions were still played in you know, original Yu-Gi-Oh! So it's not straying too far away from that. I'd be very curious how they would approach something like this, but it's still really cool, and the idea of it is really fun, so I'd like to see that. Then for me personally, I have two more that I want to throw out there. Magnet Warriors, when they were played by Bastion Masawa, he played like a weird Magnet Warrior deck where they were built on like changing their pulls to make them a minus or a plus monster, so that way they would get certain bonus effects or be able to combine into like a boss monster. I don't know how much they would want to keep it with that. I mean, I'm sure thematically they'd want to, just because that's how it was in the show. But maybe give them like a legit worthwhile, you know, effect off of that would be cool. I mean, for all we know, like, you know, if they did that, then maybe they could become monsters where summoning them off of the other Magnet Warriors, the ones we already have, the Electromagnet Warriors, they could actually be a decent payoff and allow that deck to play. So from what I remember, I think there were at least 2 or 3 main deck monsters that were solid, and then like a big boss monster that I think was another main deck monster. But hey, we know that Valkyrian sucks, Berserkion sucks. The fusion monster is like too hard to get to, so I would love to see us like actually have like an approachable boss monster from that standpoint. So we'll see, but this is one that I would really like to see because I just love Magnet Warriors so much. And the last one would be ninjas. There was a character, I want to say it's a character like at the end of, maybe it's like later in Battle City, but like right before they get into like the actual final tournament. There's a character with a bunch of ninjas, or it's in GX. I can't remember. I think there's one in both, a ninja player. But there was like this guy who's actually pretty good. He just says if you have these 2 ninja monsters engraved, he can just summon himself But then you can special summon both of these monsters straight from your deck in attack position. So I don't know if they would adjust that just to make a little bit more sense and like be easier to do. But I know one of these ninjas also just says like when it's summoned, summon another one from deck. So 1 card, 2 ninjas on field. That's a 1 card Maizen. I've been talking about this. I've been messing around with ninjas. This could be something. If they made them somewhat generic to ninjas, we could actually be in a really cool position. I mean, what if they just made one of them summon a ninja from deck? Like, just literally make it tour guide for Hanzo would be, like, out of this world insane. But we'll see. I'll keep my eyes on it, and of course, we'll have to figure out where we end up on those. But those are just a couple things that I really want. If I could give you 3 things more than anything, obviously ninjas, you know, I'm huge on that. Obviously Magnet Wars, and I would say Armitos Leggio, they make me the most excited from the Vrain stuff. And I think it would be, I think it's modern enough. It's Vrains. Konami would just have to like power creep it a little bit just to make sense in modern day, and we could be looking at like another cool rogue, you know, competitive. We saw Sun Avalon like literally in this past year win like a national. So we'll see. But there's a lot of stuff going on there. So of course, if you want, let me know in the comment section down below any other specific things from the anime that you think are really exciting to you personally and you would love to see in here, because I haven't kept up on every series, let alone remember a ton from every series, even though I watched at least the first 3, you know, up through 5Ds, but not much past that. So let me know your thoughts down below. I'd love to hear it. Is there anything really hype that I missed here that is definitely worth mentioning? But I'm out of here for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. As always, I will bring you any news on stuff when it's released as soon as it drops, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.